What is up, Diablo 4 gamers? It's been a minute. It is me, good friend brother Chris, sister Christina, whatever you'd like to call me, bringing you another Diablo 4 build guide. Haven't been enjoying my Sorcerer that much until I swapped to this build, and then I've been having loads of fun clearing Nightmare Dungeons. Obviously, the teleport to Nightmare Dungeon change helps a lot, but I'm at the point in this life cycle of the game now where I just kind of want to push to 100 paragon on my sorcerer and call it good. So I wanted a build that could farm quickly, and so I came up with this. I say came up, I didn't. I sort of figured it out. After seeing that super fast Uber Lilith kill, I was like, I wonder, could this be done for Nightmare Dungeons too? And yes, it can. So here's the build video, and obviously I will let you guys watch the rest of the Nightmare Dungeon clear at the end, but let's jump into the build. Also, make sure if you enjoy my content, consider leaving a like and maybe a subscribe. I drop daily content on games like this, man. Onto the skill tree. Let us keep this short and sweet. Just put in a point into anything you want, but make sure you get Firebolt, because we need to use that as an enchantment later on. Here, I put 3 points into Devastation for the mana, so it helps us proc, what's it called? Mage's Blizzard. When cast above 50 mana, Blizzard's duration is increased. So max mana, a little bit of max mana helps. And then I put a point into Potent Warding to get us down here to the defensive wheel. I put 1 point into Elemental Attunement. As always, I like this. If you don't like it, you don't have to put a point into it. Your mileage may vary. You put 1 point into Flame Shield, and then you take Shimmering Flame Shield. 1 point into Teleport, you take Shimmering Teleport. 3 points into Glass Cannon, as always. 1 point into Ice Armor, and then what I take Enhanced Ice Armor, gives us a little bit of mana regen while you have Ice Barrier up. Again, you don't have to take it if you don't want to. I don't know where else you'd put the points. Maxed out Frost Nova as always to lower the cooldown of Frost Nova, and we take Mystical Frost Nova as it's our vulnerable engine. Down here, we take Ice Blades, and then we take Summoned Ice Blades. 20% of Enhanced Ice Blades cooldown reduction is applied to your other skills. Very, very good. I put 1 point into Align the Elements to unlock both these green keystone nodes. I put 3 points into Mana Shield, and I put 3 points into Protection. So you use a cooldown, you get barrier. Spend mana, you get damage reduction. Down here to the whatever this is, I don't remember the names of these, but I put 3 points in Icy Veil. Increased duration on barriers, always good. 1 point into Blizzard, only needs 1 point because we're not actually looking at the damage of Blizzard. We're looking at the damage of the ice spikes, which doesn't matter what level your Blizzard is. Take Mage's Blizzard. 1 point into Inner Flames, 3 points into Devouring Blaze, as always. This is a broken passive. Down here to this tree, max out everything in here. 3 points into Permafrost, 3 points into Icy Touch, 3 points into Frigid Breeze, 3 points into Hoarfrost. And then down here to the ultimate keystone thingamabob, I put my point into Avalanche. Like I'll mention later on in the notes, you can switch to Shatter if you don't need the Avalanche or you don't like the Avalanche mana. I like it. It helps smooth out the mana issues that this build can have on occasion. But Shatter is more damage, and if you want to run it, feel free. Now let's move on to Paragon. Again, I'm only going to go over this very briefly. As I say in all my build videos, typically Paragon boards are not something that I spend too much time on, because 1, I don't know if this is the best. 2, I don't know if what I'm doing is the best. I just kind of do what I do. I just kind of copied the Paragon board that I'm using right now and translated it over here. So basically, I'm just going to kind of go over what board and what the rune is that I'm using. So on the first board, my board looks like this, and I have a flame feeder in the glyph socket. Then we path up here. And this is the Icefall board. Make sure you go for the Icefall legendary node. It's actually a pretty decent node, especially for how I'm playing this build, i.e. speed farming Nightmare Dungeons. It helps to just keep your barrier rolling, and a little more tankiness is never a bad thing. You don't have to take this node, though, if you have other things you want to do with these points. I just like it. It's like a little failsafe. I don't know. As far as the glyph socket rune, I put in Frostbite, and then Obviously, that's what I do with the rest of the points on this board. Next board we go to is Frigid Fate. This is sort of what my board's looking like. For this, I take Elementalist. Paragon nodes within range gain 75% of their non-physical damage and damage reduction modifiers. Take that solely for this. Vulnerable damage scaling is like the king. Anywhere you can scale vulnerable damage, you do. Excuse me. And then you just kind of go down to here. Then the next board is going to be Burning Instinct board. This board is mega OP. Very OP board. The glyph socket I take here is Control. It's classic Control. Just gives you a bunch of damage. Something to note, though. Down here is a very good defensive cluster. It is a bit awkward to path down to it, but I path down the left side to also take the damage nodes. But you could also path down to it from here and skip the damage nodes. I don't know what's better. This is just what I do. And then the last board that I have here is Searing Heat. I put in an exploit here, and then you also take the nodes up here because, yeah, critical strike damage is not too bad, I don't think. You're forced to take a fire damage node. This doesn't do anything. But that's what I do for Paragon. Again, I would highly recommend experimenting with your own Paragon board. Paragon is very, sort of experimental, and I'd highly recommend you do that. So, now it's time we move on to the gear and skill bar aspect. So, let's just start off with the skill bar. Our skill bar is going to be looking something like this. You want Blizzard on your bar, you want Teleport, you want both your armors, Ice and Flame, you want your Frost Nova, and you want your Ice Blades. Very self-explanatory. You want your enchantments to be Firebolt, and then as the other enchantment, I use Teleport because I run +3 evade charges on my boots, so I get a bunch of extra teleports. It helps move me around the map a bit faster, and since, again, this build is sort of focused on farming nightmare dungeons fast to farm XP, that's sort of what I'm focusing on. For aspects, I'm not going to go over all of these super closely, but I will say you do not need Raiment of the Infinite. It's just a very good chest for Sorcerer. There are plenty of other options, though, like defensive options, as chest and pants are the only two pieces of gear you can really get a bunch of defensive stats on. Speaking of stats, I have the stats down here that I would prioritize from most important to least important. And like I have in the notes, if it doesn't have cooldown reduction, don't even bother equipping it. If it can roll cooldown reduction and it doesn't have it on it, you need it. Like, cooldown reduction makes this build function. You can kind of see here, vulnerable damage scaling anywhere you can get it, obviously. Cooldown reduction anywhere you can get it. Just sort of self-explanatory stuff. For chest armor, if you do not run Raiment of the Infinite, just kind of follow the same deal as pants. Pants and chest are essentially the same thing. Pants are the one place, well, one of the two places you can actually get max life. Helm is the other one, max life there. Otherwise, you're going to be pretty lifeless, if you know what I'm saying. For gems, we take an emerald. Again, scaling vulnerable damage is the best thing in the game. I take topazes in the armor because max life gems are kind of bad since it only applies to your base life. So damage reduction while you're CC'd, I mean, can't really complain there. And then armor scaling is OP, so again, that's why we put skulls in our rings and amulet. As far as aspects go that are required, I have this in the notes again, but the glacial aspect over here is required. Make this function. And the prodigies aspect is required. You can obtain a Codex of Power version of this, as you can see, completing Witchwater and Hawazar. This is vital, as this is our damage engine. And that's also why we put it on the amulet, to get the extra buff to the damage. Something to note about the glacial aspect, if you're going to salvage it off of any piece of gear, make sure you upgrade it to max at the blacksmith, as it increases the damage range that it can roll. So the higher damage range, the better. So you want to max upgrade it before you extract the aspect off. Little tip there. Very important to do that. Prodigy's aspect, again, using a cooldown restores mana. This is sort of how we keep our mana going. We cycle through our cooldowns. And then for the other damage aspects, it's all the usual suspects. You got your Conceited, you got your Storm Swell, you got your Control. Everything you'd expect. Boots, Aspect of Binding Embers is very good, especially if you're running Ryman of the Infinite. You pop a Teleport, you drop a Blizzard, you drop a Flame Shield, and then you can run away and keep going. Disobedience, again, is just kind of overpowered. Best defensive aspect in the game. This is another aspect that increases our damage a lot. Ice Spikes have increased explosion radius. We don't care about Deep Freeze because we don't even run it. We literally just care about the Ice Spikes radius increase. It gives our Ice Spikes more of a chance to hit the enemies. Obviously, if our Ice Spikes don't hit, we're not doing damage, so bigger area, bigger chance to hit. And then Frost Blitz aspect is actually quite good. Getting an additional charge on Frost Nova. It helps us have more vulnerable charges, more mana gen, more things to lower the cooldown of. It's just overall very good. You don't have to run it, but I quite enjoy it, and I'm not sure what you would replace it for anyways, so I would say just run it. And then the little end here on the notes on the build, as I have down here, CDR is the most important stat. If it doesn't have CDR, don't equip it. So if it can roll CDR and it doesn't have it, just trash it. It's not worth. I prefer mana cost reduction over resource gen. I do think, yeah. So I think they work essentially the same. Obviously, they don't do the same thing, but they ultimately end up equaling each other. I like mana cost reduction a bit more than resource generation, though. I mean, both of these stats are very good, and you should try to have as many of these as you can on your gear. As this helps your mana generation, and obviously you need mana to cast Blizzard. Mana equal good, Blizzard equal good, no mana equal bad. And that's also why over here I prefer Avalanche over Shatter. It just helps the mana upkeep. But yes, you can swap to Shatter for more damage if you feel like you don't need the mana. Aspects that make this build work are Glacial and Prodigy's Ring. Yep. So this is just a little reminder if you don't read if you don't watch the video, but I mean if you don't watch the video then you're not gonna get this, so I don't know. It is what it is. Anyways. I'll let you guys watch the rest of the clear of the Nightmare Dungeon. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and yeah. Give you guys a proper outro here. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. Remember to like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on the build or better. And I will see you all in the next one. As always, make sure to subscribe if you want to see daily gaming content from your boy. It's maybe me, your boy. Also, thank you to my YouTube members, my tier 2s, Blitzel, Remix My Life, I'm Nufu, Aerozyke, and Peachy, and all my tier 1s, It's Biscuits, Inder, Diz, Clouded, Dangerous, and Joxini. Alright, enjoy the rest of the run.
time to